Oh my god. I have that shit on. Oh my god. I have that shit on. I have that shit on in the Airbnb.
Hello, welcome back. It's good to see you again. If you're wondering why the lighting may be bad or the angle may be chopped or all my stuff is apparently missing, it's because I'm in the process of moving. So all my stuff is in storage right now, from my video equipment to my cool background. So if the angle shifts or if the lighting adjusts, it's just sunlight. I can't control that. So production's bad, but I still want to make videos. So here we are. And also if the microphone, the audio gets chopped or I turn into Glenn Danzig and I start holding it like this, that's why. I literally don't even have anything to attach the boom mic to. So gotta work with what you got, right? But today I want to talk a little bit about Hell's Heroes, the heavy metal festival in Houston, Texas, which is sort of becoming an annual thing for me. This was my second year attending, my first being last year, and a group of my friends and I all went down and we had a lot of fun. It was a great time. I initially tried to record this video as chronologically as possible, where I just sit down and say, I saw this set at this time and I thought this set was really good. I decided it would be a little more fun, a little more entertaining if I just kind of just went through and talk about some of the more entertaining stories that I thought were worth talking about.
Hello, good day. Today we are making eggs in the Airbnb. There is no spatula. I am kind of fucked.
There is a spatula.
There is no spatula. I am fucked. But on the bright side of things, I have that shit on.
Oh, what the fuck?
I have that shit on. Oh, there is a spatula. This is good news, guys.
Why is it burnt?
End video.
I will obviously be splicing in footage. I doubt you all want to look at me and just stare at my nose the entire time. However, I will not be playing most of the audio for these clips just because I don't want to get copyright striked. I will, however, be making a video where I just compile all of the raw footage as chronologically as I can remember and just put it all into one long cut. So if you want to check that out, that will probably be in the link in the description within the next couple of days. But I thought it would be more interesting to just talk about some of the funny stories that went down. So let's get right into that. Satan played 2 sets for Hell's Heroes this year. They played the pre-party as well as an early slot on Thursday. My group and I missed the pre-party. We were all getting into Houston on Wednesday night, so we were taking care of our essentials, going to the grocery store, ordering pizza, and making sure we were settling into our Airbnb. Literally the first thing in the cart. We walked past all the produce. First thing in the cart.
Most important thing in the grocery store.
However, Brian Ross has a reputation for being very vocal against crowd surfing, moshing, and stage diving, and we heard through the grapevine that he was expressing that greatly in the Thursday pre-party set. I was initially planning on getting to Hell's Heroes around 3 o'clock on Thursday just because I wanted to rest up in the early day so I can go as long as I wanted to. However, all my friends did convince me to go see Satan earlier in the day just to see Brian Ross complain about crowd surfing, and that was absolutely the right call. It was hysterical. There was a lot of crowd surfing, with a lot of it being done by repeat offenders, and Brian Ross took note of this as he called out as many people as he could.
Coming over the top of people's heads and landing down here. Either there's 1,000 of the fuckers, or it's the same guy being a prop. And there he is going to do it again. Take a bow, you are an asshole.
Ross did admittedly explain why he doesn't like crowd surfing. He feels that it's very disrespectful and annoying towards the band themselves, as well as it does ruin the show for the people in the front. And I feel like he kind of shot himself in his own foot by doing that, as that seems to amplify the rowdiness of the crowd even more. And I will say, I do kind of fall in the middle of this whole debate. On one hand, I really don't think Satan is moshing or crowd surfing music in the similar vein that Iron Maiden isn't that. So I do kind of understand the sentiment of wanting to play your music to the crowd and having it not be appreciated in the way you feel like it should be. On the other hand, moshing and crowd surfing is an integral part of heavy metal, and you can't realistically go to a metal show and not expect it to happen to some degree. And as I mentioned, Brian Ross complaining about it really only amplified people to do more. And I'm glad it did, because a lot of the shenanigans you see in that pit were absolutely hysterical. My friends Nathan and Ayden made sure to wheelbarrow around the pit a couple of times, and the stage banter between Ross and a lot of the crowd surfers was just awesome. It was hilarious to listen to. I will give Satan their flowers. They did admittedly sound very good. Brian Ross's voice for his age and health was very clean and very crisp, and the rest of the band played very well. So Satan's performance itself, apart from all the moshing and all the stage banter, was admittedly very, very good, and I was very impressed. My pal Nathan and I did find Brian Ross later, and we did talk to him, and he was still very unhappy about all the moshing, so I kind of just listened to him. It wasn't my first rodeo with old British people. I did ask him for a picture, and I don't know if he didn't hear me or if he just didn't care, but he just walked off when I did it. Did take a picture of my friend Nathan though, so that was pretty cool. And funnily enough, one of the later sets, Hyrax, was the exact opposite of what Satan was. Caden even went as far as to call out Brian Ross and his attitude towards crowd surfing and moshing, as he very much encouraged it, as you would expect Hyrax to do. And the result was probably the craziest set of the entire weekend. My favorite part of the whole ordeal was that halfway through the set, Caden and the band just said screw the set list, and they just threw it out and were taking requests from the audience.
Shit at all. You guys are like, hey, fucking throw us a bone, motherfucker. You crazy bastard. This one's for you. This one's called Lightning Thunder!
And I think that was one of the coolest things I saw all weekend. It really means a lot to the fans and the band when they're able to just go off of the energy of each other, and I think it made for one of the strongest sets of the entire weekend. I found Caden after the set and talked with him a little bit about when I was living in Los Angeles, as well as how cool I thought it was for him to just go off of muscle memory and do what the fans wanted, and he seemed very appreciative of that. So Caden, if you're for some reason watching this, thank you for one of the coolest sets of the entire weekend. But yeah, Satan was cranky as shit, and Hyrax was as wild as shit, and they were two of my favorite sets of the entire weekend for the exact polar opposite reasons. Friday was definitely the day that I was the least excited for. There just wasn't as many bands playing on Friday that I was excited for as Thursday and Saturday. That being said, I did see some really cool stuff. Sadistic Intent in particular was one of the highlights of the weekend, just an absolutely in-your-face, brutal set. I keep bringing up Nathan, and this was his favorite set of the entire weekend, as well as being the one that he was most looking forward to, and he actually goes as far as to say it was one of, if not the best set he has ever seen. And I think Sadistic Intent was a very good representation of that. Their set was absolutely incredible. After Sadistic Intent, we all filed out to go see Cavalera, where they absolutely broke every bone in our body. Such a fun set. I don't think I have to go into detail about how legendary Max and Igor Cavalera are, and they absolutely delivered on their set. It was a lot of fun hearing those old classics being played, although I really do wish they played a couple more songs off of Beneath the Remains, as it's one of my favorite thrash albums of all time. And after every bone in our body was busted, we all just kind of chilled on the lawn for a little while. But other than that, that was pretty much most of what we were looking forward to on Friday. It was really just Cavalera and Sadistic Intent. There were a couple other bands that we saw, but those were the two highlights. So we kind of just dicked around for Crimson Glory the entire time.
Nathan!
Yeah!
Where's that last number?
What number?
Crimson Glory, they just played.
Crimson Story?
On Friday, as we were waiting for Haunt to start playing, we were approached by a man in an inflatable crown and a bath towel. We would come to know this mighty king as Goat vs. Fish. If you don't know what Goat vs. Fish is, I really don't know what it is either. It seems to be a comedy sketch where His Highness asks you if you are goat or fish. And at the end of the festival, I guess he tallied up all the results and one emerged triumphant over the other. And given that this was a heavy metal festival with a lot of bands that had satanic gimmicks playing, it was no mystery that Goat emerged triumphant. At the end of the festival, we did actually catch Goat vs. Fish again as he was calling an Uber. It took every fiber of my being not to laugh at Goat vs. Fish getting into an Uber with his fucking inflatable fucking crown and his bath towel. But as we mentioned, we did talk to him and see who won, and it was Goat by a long shot. So that was my little experience with Goat vs. Fish. He seems to be Southern California based, so if you want to check him out, I'll link him in the description below. So Goat vs. Fish, thank you for bringing joy and whimsy to the festival. I think that's exactly what metal festivals need. A lot more laughs. Going into Saturday, the band that most of us were most looking forward to was Hellripper. For some reason, they had a very early set at 1:30, even though I, like many others, thought they could have been a 4 or 5 o'clock band at the very least. But you gotta roll with what you got, and Hellripper took that mission to heart and gave us a great set. We did run into James McBain a couple of times throughout the festival in the days prior, where we did chat with him a little bit. I talked about how I'd seen Hellripper in Berlin the prior summer, as well as what songs they would be playing in their first US set. James made me promise that I would crowd surf during his set, and I am a bigger guy, so I don't usually crowd surf. However, I made a promise, and I delivered on that promise. And it seems that the metal gods rewarded me, as I got not only a printed Hellripper pick, but also a stage used bass pick, which is very cool and still lives in my pick frame to this day. Hellripper teased that they were looking to do a full US tour at some point in the future, and I absolutely will be making the trek to see them however many times I can. Hellripper is one of my favorite bands, so to see them again on US soil for their first set ever was awesome. And the last little story I will talk about is meeting a member of one of my favorite bands of all time. John Christ was scheduled to play Danzig covers inside as one of the final inside bands of the entire festival, and I wanted to be front row for that, and the set was a ton of fun. Everybody was singing along to the Danzig classics from 1 through 4. The highlight was definitely Devil's Plaything, as I have seen Danzig a couple of times and he never got around to playing that song, so hearing a song that I had never heard before, even if it wasn't Glenn Danzig on vocals, was still really cool. And seeing John Christ play the classics was great. Tommy Victor is a great guitarist, however, a lot of people prefer John Christ as they don't like Tommy's guitar tone or the excessive pinch harmonics, so regardless of how I feel about both guitarists and which one I like more, it was definitely cool seeing John Christ. And the crowd, both on the side of the stage as well as in the audience, felt the same way, as we were all singing along to the Danzig classics such as Twist of Cain, Mother, Devil's Plaything. It was a glorious time. I found out that John Christ was hanging out by the merch booth after the set, which I did not know about and was a little bit bummed about, because I would have loved to have gone up and talked to him and gotten a pick and got to ask him some questions about those early Danzig sessions, but that does not mean I did not meet John Christ. After Saxon ended, we were all just too broken and tired to do any of the after parties, so we were all just standing outside and waiting for Uber prices to go down.
There's Nathan.
Oh, hello! Good day! Today we are at the end of Hell's Heroes. We are waiting on Uber prices to go down. It is very expensive in this economy.
Yeah.
Am I spending $30 to go fucking what? 5 miles, maybe? I can run that shit in less amount of time of waiting for their fucking horny asses to get over here. Get in the back of their fucking car, probably get in a car
This
accident.
pizza's pretty good.
Get fucking Houston.
I changed my mind.
Crazy. I have a boner.
That's Hell's Heroes, ladies and gentlemen.
My friends Ayden, Madison, Rachel, and Michael all shared an Uber while me and Nathan were waiting for another one. And for whatever reason, me nor Nathan could get an Uber to save our life. It was about 30 minutes of long wait times or high prices or drivers canceling on us. So after about 30 minutes, we decided, hey, there was a really good taco spot up the road that I had had a couple of days prior. They also serve wings, which, as Nathan will tell you,
I must get some chicken wings. I'm a big fan of chicken flakes. Very good.
Yeah.
so we decided, hey, we got nowhere to be, we have nothing to do, let's go get some food. So we walked about 15 minutes through rural Houston, which, for all things considered, looked exactly like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre set. I had had this taco spot earlier in the day, so I went ahead and ordered a quesadilla while Nathan got himself his basket of wings.
We got quesadilla, arroz, y frijoles, and Nathan is scarfing the fuck out of those wings.
And it was by far the best thing either of us had eaten throughout the entire weekend. It was so good. After we had eaten, we were just chilling there, just chatting for a bit, waiting for Uber prices to again go down. When I went to the bathroom, and as I was coming out, John Christ himself, with I'm assuming his wife and a friend, just walked through the door. I chatted with him for a few seconds, but you can definitely tell he was not in the mood to chat, so I shook his hand, said thank you for all the Danzig music in the earlier years, and he went on his way.
Status update. We finished eating, and John Christ walked up, and I shook his hand. It's not every day you get to shake the hand of one of the founding members of your favorite band. So that's pretty friggin' cool.
A very brief interaction for John that I'm sure he forgot about already, but for me, it was meeting one of the founding members of one of my favorite bands of all time. And I got to shake his hand and tell him what all those early works mean to me. He didn't give me a pic though, which kind of hurt my feelings, but try not to take it personally. But after that, me and Nathan had some more trouble finding a reliable Uber, but we inevitably made it back to our Airbnb safe and sound. We all packed up, we all fist bumped each other. Some of the group had to leave early in the morning while others got to sleep in, including myself. And after all was said and done, it was an Uber ride back to Hobby Airport where I got on a plane and came back home to Sacramento. Vacation over. But overall, Hell's Heroes 2025 was an absolute blast. I got to talk to a lot of cool people, both musicians and fans from around the world, which is something I don't get to do every day. And I got to check off some bucket list bands that I've been wanting to see for quite a while. I will say that some of the outside bands got shafted as the sound quality outside of the headliners was very poor. Don't really know what was going on there, but a lot of fans and a lot of musicians such as Sammy Duet very much was vocal about it. It was not good. And to answer the question of will I be back next year for Hell's Heroes 2026, if it's still going on, you bet your ass I will be back. And if there's even just a couple of bands in that bill that you're looking forward to and you have the ability to make the trek to see them, I would highly recommend it. It is by far my favorite metal festival in America. But I want to thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed these little stories that I have, and I hope to see you again soon. Good night.
Okay. Alright, are you videoing? Okay, so I thought I didn't catch a fucking pic at Saxon, and I just jokingly pulled my shirt up in front of Michael. And this goddamn thing falls on the ground, and Michael's like, is that Madison's? I'm like, oh yeah, it is, because it's got the Saxon logo on it. So, but hers was orange. So, you have yours. It's like over there somewhere.
No, it's right here.
This motherfucker made it all the way from the barrier at White Oak, all the way back here, from an Uber.
Was it stuck to your stomach?
Yes, it was. It was stuck to me like the fucking symbiote from Spider-Man 3. God damn! Holy shit, man. Please tell me.